As a child, were you ever hit with an intense desire to throw out a romantic partner like rotten cheese just because? And as a citizen, were you hindered by society's primitive notions of selflessness, fidelity? If so, fear not. For by the time you reach college, today's teenagers are generally masters at the art of breaking up. As a college freshman myself, I have been fortunate enough to witness his talent. Many of my peers in high school had successfully terminated 3, 4, or even 5 relationships by the time they received their diplomas. Inspired by this wonderful aspect of Gen Z, I did my own research on the subject and would like to share it with you. We will be discussing the evolution of teen dating, the advantages of breaking up often, and templates used in starting and ending teen romances, so all of you will be able to experience this joy. Sadly, breaking up is a vastly under-researched field. This is due to the implicit bias of the researchers who choose the experiments. Prompted by their narrow minds and medieval attitudes, these researchers believe that breaking up is something to be ashamed of. On the contrary, those of us living in the 21st century know that breakups are something to take pride in. They're a sign of strength, of vigor, of finesse. Why, some boomers may ask? Well, to answer this question, we must first realize the teens didn't always have it this easy. Over the centuries, many societies did and still do enforce arranged marriages. The unfortunate result of this is that people are bound in oath to people they don't love. But more importantly, people who don't share their Bobo preferences. To complicate problems, prior to the conception of the idea of childhood in the late 1800s, casual relationships were largely frowned upon. How can you break up without hooking up first? To add insult to injury, prior to the invention of Match.com in 1995 by some romantic programmers, there were no dating platforms, meaning that people had to brave the wild jungle of civilization and, God forbid, talk to real humans just to find a mate. Today, things have changed. Teens are free to break up in peace. In fact, it is encouraged for a myriad of reasons. First, learning to break up as a teenager is excellent practice for being in one of the 50% of marriages that successfully fail, a number given by Kenneth and Ruggles in 2014 research. There are incalculable benefits in the short term as well. X is far more pronounceable than boyfriend or girlfriend. And just like sucking peppermint-flavored smoke from a vape pen and drinking till you faint, speaking of your X signals that you are a mature adult. You will become a spitting image of your parents, if not outdoing them. And when your parents see that you have mastered the art of destroying relationships, they will see you as capable of all the other tasks before you, like paying taxes, and know how to free you into the world. Each time you break up, you reaffirm your own importance and self-identity. You conform to the American belief that you are at the center of the universe, and anyone around you is merely a disposable part in the great assembly line of life. Just as humans are the summit of evolution, Gen Z's desire to dump those around them is the summit of the American individualism that we all adore. Lastly, and greatest of all, the more times you break up, the more opportunities you get to grow your body count. That being said, let us delve into the nature of teenage relationships with some guaranteed steps for ending. The first step in finding someone to break up the cycle is flirting. I recommend watching high-rated teen romances, such as High School Musical for models. Zac Efron does a fine job. Once you find somebody, you will want to post an Instagram photo shoot for your one-day anniversary, preferably with a caption such as, "Happy one day, baby. I will love you till my dying day." Now, if you pick the right person, that is, someone hotter than you, you will receive hundreds of undeserved cutie points to boost your ego in preparation for the breakup. Now, for the bonding time. To give the impression that you care about them, get into a deep conversation about hyperpop and saving the turtles. If you bring a romantic TV show into the conversation, you can even live your so-called relationship vicariously through it. When you break up, you will want to tell your partner they are toxic. To repair your full specious argument, let's review the cycle of violence. First comes tension. You may differ on music preferences, Perhaps your baby likes Lil Wayne, while you prefer Lil Nas X. Maybe they can't buy out American Eagle for you because they went broke on avocado toast. After all, if they aren't broke, they aren't woke. And what intolerant trash is a teenager if they're not woke? But I digress. Maybe your relationship is interfering with your human rights. The founding fathers promised us life, liberty, and the pursuit of, man, I don't know what you're pursuing. Is it money, autonomy, a job, a better partner? Seeing as this is America, you've got to be pursuing something or you will be called lazy and stupid. And partners typically have conflicting interests and get in the way of that pursuit. All these sources of conflict will fling you into the next stage, the explosion. Your partner may hate you forever for imposing Lil Nas X on them. They may insist on seeing your every text. They may threaten to hurt you if you buy caramel tea one more time. Whatever it is, there will be some sort of explosion, and it will end in a honeymoon. Your partner will join Taylor Swift in singing, "Baby, I miss you, and I swear I'm going to change, trust me." The apologetic atmosphere will lead to an intense calm. As you fabricate these stages of violence, you will find yourself having adultish conversations with your fellow imposters about relationship issues. Now that you have identified the problem, escalate the situation with your partner. This will help provide an atmosphere in which you feel safe saying you hate them. Now, according to a 2015 Pew Research poll, most teens think that breaking up in person is the most acceptable way, but the ongoing pandemic hasn't afforded this opportunity. Social media works fine. Just be sure to add a serious tone indicator and that one red emoji with the symbols in front of its mouth. In any case, your final conversation should include the phrase, "What the hell is wrong with you?" If in person, storm away and give them the finger. Steal any gifts you gave them. Cancel their flight home. If virtual, block them on every platform. And get some new platforms to block them on too. Learning to break up early teaches teenagers many beautiful lessons. It allows us to fully realize common social media messages, like, it's okay to leave someone you love. And disappear if you want to. Focus on you. Only through listening to these mantras and dismissing the inadequate from our relationships can we realize that in this modern capitalist society, no one cares about anyone but themselves. This simple truth empowers us to take control of our own lives and annihilate all the losers around us. How many lovely daffodils sprinkle the meadows of youth, each with its own story and make. Many will bloom and flourish, but after the pesticide of adulthood is sprayed, few will survive. This is what the antagonism promoted by breakup culture reveals to us. This is a light that a promiscuous and unfaithful minds evolve to see. Granted, many of you fear that you will never see that light. Perhaps you speak with a stutter and don't have the natural flair in your voice to attract the breaking up light. Maybe you worry you will find someone you truly love and not want to leave them. But do not despair, for there is yet hope. Take me, for example. While I have never been in a relationship, I have come to trust in the power of breaking up. Shakespeare once told us that the course of true love never did run smooth, but now more than ever, my social media feed is telling me the modern fairy tale does not end in happily ever after. And I, for one, am glad. I am glad because I know that if I talk the talk, if I wear the vines, if I play the game, then I too can have someone to fight with. I too can have someone worth giving an Oscar slap to. I too can have someone who will run after Pete Davidson. I too can have someone who will block me on every social media platform and tell me I am toxic. And I long for that Olivia Rodrigo moment more than anyone else, because then I, like everyone else in Gen Z, can finally know the joy of breaking up.